शेर का मुंह खुला है और पहले नहीं था।
एक्चुअली ओरिजिनल रिप्लिका में भी मुंह खुला है, इसको सेम टू सेम जो एज अ जो रिप्लिका है उसको ही करना है।
When it comes to something as prestigious as the emblem, okay, there we do not have discretion to do any changes to the.
लेकिन वो बिलो आई लेवल होने की वजह से वो हो सकता है वो शो नहीं हो रहा होगा।
You would be living under a rock if you don't know all the controversies that are going around the national emblem. In the quest, and pretty intrigued to find out what exactly is the story behind the entire hue and cry that the world is doing, led me to the studio at GArt, right here in front of you. And who better to answer these questions than the people of the hour? And today we have with us two very important guests who are in the thick of the entire discussions. We have with us Mr. Romiel Moses, Mr. Sunil Deore. Mr. Romiel Moses happens to be the founder of GArt, and Mr. Sunil Deore is the creative director at GArt. Mr. Sunil Deore is the man of the hour, the creative director at GArt, and the man behind the sculpture on the central Vistas. I'll start the question first with the founder, Mr. Moses. Hello, Mr. Moses. Thank you for being here and answering all the questions which you have been doing for the last few days. But today is going to be a little more interesting because we are decoding the real truth. So before we start with the questions and come to Sunil ji, who is the person behind the sculpture, I want to ask you a very important question. Throw some light on the history of the thumb or the emblem.
Sure, sure. So our national emblem is an adaptation of the lion's capital, originally found atop the Ashoka column at Sarnath. It was established by Emperor Ashok in 280 BC. The capital has 4 roaring Indian lions facing in all 4 directions. The 4 lions represent the 4 values of a righteous nation, which is power, courage, pride, and confidence. It is an emblem of a powerful nation. The 4 lions are seated on a circular abacus, which has the motifs of 4 animals. The 4 animals they represent the 4 directions. The elephant represents the east, the horse represents the south, the lion represents the north, the bull represents the west. Between every animal is the Ashoka Chakra or the Dharma Chakra, which represents that there is life in movement and death in stagnation, thus symbolizing a progressive nation. The lion capital also has a strong influence of Buddhism, as Emperor Ashok embraced Buddhism in the later part of his years. Hence, the 4 lions also signify the 4-fold path of peace to be spread in all 4 directions, making the lion's capital also the emblem of peace. This is what makes the lion capital so brilliant. It stands for a powerful nation, a progressive nation, and a peace-loving nation. The lion's capital was adopted in the national emblem on January 26, 1950. That's the history of the emblem.
Some very interesting facts there and some very priceless facts there. Now coming to the man of the hour, Sunil ji. Mr. Sunil Deore is with us, the person behind the sculpture, the co-creator of the sculpture on the central vistas. Sunil ji, पहले हम सिर्फ ये जानना चाहते हैं, it's a very emotional question. How are you feeling? कैसा आपको लग रहा है to be part of something which is going to go down in the books of history?
ये हमारे लिए एक बहुत गौरव की बात थी जब ये प्रोजेक्ट हमें मिला और हमने उसको करके आज इंस्टॉल किया। लेकिन जब ये हमें ये प्रोजेक्ट टाटा प्रोजेक्ट लिमिटेड से हमें दिया गया। हमें हमारे ध्यान में था कि इसको सेम टू सेम जो एज जो रिप्लिका है उसको ही करना है, लेकिन बड़े लार्ज स्केल में ये पहला इतना लार्ज स्कल्पचर है पूरे ऑल ओवर इंडिया में। उसके बाद हमने औरंगाबाद के हमारे जी आर्ट के स्टूडियो में इसका काम चालू किया। हम हर बार ये सोच रहे थे कि अब भारत वर्ष के लिए हमें बनाना है और ये बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है हमारे कंधे पर, लेकिन सब करते वक्त हमने ये चीज ध्यान रखी कि इसका एस्थेटिक कहीं ना बिगड़े। ये इतना क्रिएटिव और परफेक्ट पीस है। जब 300 BC में वो जो आर्टिस्ट ने किया है वो भी एक आर्टिस्ट था और आज हम भी आर्टिस्ट उसको क्रिएट कर रहे हैं।
So, पूरा प्रोजेक्ट होने में कितना समय लगा?
पूरा प्रोजेक्ट होने मतलब स्टार्ट टू फिनिश 9 मंथ्स उसको ये लगे।
तो सरकार से आपको क्या ब्रीफ मिला था?
नहीं, एक्चुअली सरकार से इसमें ये नहीं था हमारा। ये तो टाटा प्रोजेक्ट लिमिटेड और आर्किटेक्ट में डिजाइनर टीम, वो उनसे हमारा कंसल्टिंग चल रहा था। फाइनली उसका इनॉग्रेशन हुआ, पीएम आए, उन्होंने सब टीम को हमें कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट किया, सब टीम को इनकरेज किया और आज हमें आपके सामने है।
एक और मुझे बात बताइए, जो एक बहुत बड़ा विवाद चल रहा है और हर न्यूज़ चैनल कवर कर रहा है कि शेर का मुंह खुला है और पहले नहीं था। अब जरा ये हमारे लिए क्लियर कीजिए।
नहीं,
बट आई एम श्योर ये सब जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या शेर के मुंह में अलग है।
नहीं, एक्चुअली ओरिजिनल रिप्लिका में भी मुंह खुला है, लेकिन वो बिलो आई लेवल होने की वजह से वो हो सकता है वो शो नहीं हो रहा होगा, लेकिन उसमें भी लॉयन का शेर का मुंह खुला है और उसमें भी टूथ दिख रहे हैं। विदाउट टूथ तो लॉयन ओपन अगर माउथ होगा तो वो टूथ तो दिखेंगे ही। तो ये सब ऑथेंटिक ही है।
तो एक बात बताइए, इन सब चीजों में जहाँ बोल रहे हैं इतनी मेहनत, खून पसीने की टाइम गया है वहाँ पे, उसमें आज जब विवाद देखते हैं तब कैसा लग रहा है?
नहीं, एज एन आर्टिस्ट हमें बिल्कुल मतलब किसी ने भी वो आर्ट के पीछे का साइड देखा नहीं है, हमें कितने एफर्ट्स लगे ये, लेकिन अभी परसेप्शन है। एक्चुअली उसका जो फोटोग्राफिक एंगल वगैरह, वो जो इमेज वायरल हो रही है वो भी एक उसका क्लेरिफिकेशन भी है कि वहाँ वो जगह ही नहीं फोटोग्राफी के लिए, लेकिन हमने एज अ रिप्लिका ही उसको रिप्लिकेट किया है, एनलार्ज किया।
रेप्लिका ऑफ व्हाट वाज द प्रीवियस वन, दैट्स इट।
हाँ,
रेप्लिका है
पूरी तरह उसका मॉडल है।
fact है that what has been created is just a replica of the previous one. I'll come to another very important question here. Mr. Moses, I'll bring this up with you. Let's do a little jog back into the history since you did bring that up first. What is the significance of this statue to India?
Like I told you, the significance lies multifold. The three P's that we talked about power. It talks about India being a peace-loving country. It talks about India being a progressive country. So it's multifold for India. Today it's a very very right time to have this beautiful and majestic sculpture atop.
Now, सुनील जी, एक और बात बताइए, आप ऐसे आइकॉनिक और लेजेंडरी प्रोजेक्ट करने से पहले या बाद में कुछ ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जो इतने ही आइकॉनिक हैं जो आ रहे हैं या आ चुके हैं?
हाँ, बिल्कुल। इससे अभी हमने 6 महीने पहले छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज कोरोनेशन सेरेमनी जो ठाणे म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन बिल्डिंग के ऊपर हमने इंस्टॉल किया है, वो ऑलमोस्ट 70 फीट इंटू 30 फीट उसका हाइट है। तो ये इंडिया का सबसे बिगेस्ट म्यूरल्स है और उसमें हमने कम से कम 150 कैरेक्टर्स दिखाए। ये किया था। ये अभी
3 months back.
3 months back ही हुआ। तो उसमें भी अभी के सीएम है उन्होंने उद्घाटन किया था उसका।
So
एकनाथ शिंदे जी।
Yes.
तो वो भी बहुत चैलेंजिंग था। वो अभी ओपन टू ऑल है।
And it's biggest in India.
और बिगेस्ट स्कल्पचर म्यूरल इन इंडिया है वो।
ओके।
हाँ, और इसके अलावा हमने एलोरा अजंता में टूरिज्म सेंटर बनाया जो इंटरनेशनली लोगों के लिए, सबके लिए ओपन है, जिसमें हमने 70 बुद्धा के रिप्लिका किए अजंता में, और एलोरा में कैलाश टेम्पल की 10 टाइम लिटिल उसका मॉडल बनाया। इंडिया का लार्जेस्ट शिवाजी महाराज ऑन हॉर्स, ये प्रोजेक्ट हम अभी पाइपलाइन मतलब कर रहे हैं। तो
और ये कब इनॉग्रेट हो रहा है?
ये अभी इसको एक साल में हम इसको कंप्लीट हो जाएगा।
Apart from all the prestigious projects that you all have been a part of and are going to be a part of, art and sculptures in India go a long way back. How do y'all at GArt, and Mr. Moses, I would love for you to answer this for me, how are y'all intending to give this a contemporary twist?
So sculptures essentially very broadly falls into a few categories. So you have figurative, which is the exact replica of a human form or an animal form. So it's very figurative. From figurative, you go into abstracts. For example, this bull is an abstract. Okay. Then there is devotional, where you have the lords and the goddesses, and then you have mythological. Okay. And then you have wall arts, like Sunil was talking about, the big murals and stuff like that. So these are the essential categories. Now, when it comes to something as prestigious as the emblem, okay, there we do not have discretion to do any changes to the piece. But rest everything, unless otherwise specified by the constitution or by the law, is open to creativity. Okay, so it's a lot of fun that comes into play. Even sometimes when we do something as delicate as a murti of Shri Ramji. Okay, we've done something very beautiful where Shri Ram is depicted like almost, of course, there was no better superhero than Shri Ram as per the younger generation. If you talk their language, superhero language. And we've done a fabulous sculpture of Shri Ram, which is very contemporary. And at the same time has all the core values that the Indians would love to see. You take something as simple as this, and this is what we really love. So I don't know if you know that only an Indian bull has a hump. The Western bulls usually, if you see the bullfights, a Western bull usually does not have a hump. Okay, but if you see a sculpture like this, now this is an absolutely modern, contemporary piece of sculpture, which can be placed anywhere in a penthouse abroad or in India, anywhere. Now again, something like this represents the progressive India, because India, like grew from the ashes. Okay, from complete zero. Today, it's getting grand. Look at the grandness of the sculpture. Look at the strength. Look at the force. Look at the power of that sculpture. At the same time, it's very humble with its head low. It's not coming charging. So that's what India stands for. And it's a very progressive kind of a sculpture. So yeah, it's endless, and we enjoy doing these various subjects in our art.
It's a beautiful sculpture there, firstly, and I love how you depicted that there is the head low with the humility as well as the pride with the hump. So great job there, and I'm really looking forward to everything else that we are going to see with GR. Mr. Moses, adding to this, what is a vision at GR? What exactly are we? What's the goalpost with GR?
So it's been an exciting journey so far with GR. But let me tell you that the best is yet to come. When we talk about vision, let me remind you of the golden age of India. India was called the Sone ki Chidiya for a reason. The golden period, which was between the 3rd and the 6th century during the Gupta period, the Maurya period, the period of power, the period of opulence, the period of progressive thinking, the period of aesthetics and art. We saw the best of art in the form of architecture, painting, sculptures created in that period. The Greek and the Roman periods of art were much later, like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. They were all in the 14th and the 15th century. You take a very small example. It's said that the first animation was made by Da Vinci, the sketch of the man. Okay, but let me tell you, you'll be proud to know that the entire animation of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana can be seen in the Kailasa temple in Aurangabad, which was built way back in the 7th and 8th century.
Yes.
Look at the Ellora sculptures, the Khajuraho sculptures, or art all over the country. We were much more advanced and progressive, centuries ahead of the rest of the world.
And those were some very interesting conversations. Thank you so much, Mr. Moses. Thank you so much, Sunilji. I'm sure that answers a lot of those queries and intriguing questions that were going on in our minds about the national emblem on the central vistas. I hope most of your questions have been answered, and if not, you can still write to us and we will get them answered from the rightful sources at GART. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned.